Bankruptcy is on the rise and more builders are defaulting daily left and right. There is one particular development in Toronto which is under $1.6 billion debt. Receivership is not a new news. We have seen receivership in the past, but in the current scenario, more and more receivership are happening. Just to give you a context, beginning of this year, from January to May, we have seen 20 builder default and went under receivership. And at this pace, we will be 57% higher receivership than last year, that is 2023, and 13% higher than the financial crisis of 2008. Hello everyone, my name is Parth Soni. I'm a realtor based in Waterloo Region. We help families and investors like yourself to move in Waterloo Region and Toronto. If you find any value out of this video, the only thing I ask is to like and subscribe to my channel. So in today's video, we will cover 4 things. The very first one, what is receivership? Second, what are the causes of receivership? The third one is the case study of 2 builders, that is the one in Toronto and one in Kitchener. It's called 𝗦𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗧𝗏. And the last one, what are the scenarios as a buyer if you are in a project which is going under receivership? So now let's understand very first thing, what is receivership? So this is the technical definition. It is the process available to a secure creditor to receive the outstanding amount from the secured loan in the event the company defaults on its loan payment. Now let's take an example and understand this. If the bank or creditor gives a loan to a developer to build the unit or build the buildings and the developer defaults on the payment on the bank, then bank can opt for receivership. Typically, a receiver is appointed by the bank or the creditor or by the court. So there are 2 kinds of receiver that could be appointed. One is by the bank or other one is the court appointed receiver. And the receiver who is dealing with all this have an authority to either sell the unit or liquidate the assets. Now let's understand what causes receivership. So there are 3 main reasons for it. The very first one is lack of experience from the builder. The second one is the major unexpected delays in building. And the third one is the construction cost and the economic factors. Now let's understand the very first one, that is lack of experience from the builder side. So this could happen when a new developer entering into the building market without sufficient experience and may improperly allocate the funds, which could delays in the development. And this could lead to potential payment defaults. Another factor is the inadequate planning. Significant amount of planning take place in building a unit, a multi-residential unit. So a significant planning is required. In case of an inexperienced developer, this might go wrong and they are not able to get the project finished under their timeline. And as with each delay, the cost of the project goes through the roof. Now, I used to work as a costing engineer before coming into real estate, providing quotes and costs to multi-billion-dollar industries. So I know a little bit about how the costing works. Now, let's understand this a little bit deeper. Now, if you see, most of this started back in 2017, a period when home prices in Toronto rose quickly. And this leads to demands in the condo. Now, in 2017, 31,000 pre-construction condo were sold only in Toronto. And according to Urban Nation, this is a record number of the condos. This leads to a major demand in a pre-construction market. In response, developer expanded quickly, with many inexperienced builders entering the market and selling out pre-construction projects as waves of small investors join in. Investors at all that time could easily profit from rising condo values and generally cover mortgage costs through the rental income. This is the time when most investors profit very heavily through assignment sales. If you are someone who wants to know more about assignment sales in today's market, check out this video. However, the rapid pace of launches and sales concealed issues developers were beginning to encounter. By 2021, low interest rate further fueled the real estate boom during the pandemic, pushing pre-construction sales in Toronto close to record high with more than 30,000 units. Now let's understand the second factor, that is the major unexpected delays through pandemic. The pandemic then slows the development, and with the social distancing requirement on the construction sites, further delays were happened. This also significantly affects the new launches were happening during that time. And all these delays leads to increased carrying cost for the builder. And 2 other factors were also added in this one, which is the supply shortage, which also fueled the prices of the construction material. And the other thing is the Bank of Canada increases the interest rate. Today, these high mortgages are also preventing some buyers to getting into pre-construction market due to the affordability. Now, this is the survey done by BUILD, that is Building Industry and Land Development Association, of 498 residential construction projects by its member in the GTA area have been delayed by COVID-19. So 498 projects were delayed. And in Toronto itself, 65% of these projects are delayed to 3 to 6 months, and more than 32% of the projects are delayed for more than 6 months. And due to all these delays, the city is also affected very badly in the DC charges, that is development charges. So they lost roughly about $340 million in the development charge, $13.5 million in the education development charges, and $26 million in the property tax alone, and $364 million in HST, and $106 million in municipal and provincial land transfer tax. Now, just to sum up, construction was considered as an essential business at that time during the pandemic and remained open during the phase. However, supply chain issue negatively affects all the prices of the condo, and we know the time frame increases, which leads to significant delays and also leads to higher carrying cost for developers. Now, the third factor for receivership is the construction prices and economic changes. Now let's understand life cycle of the condo sales. It could take anywhere between 4 to 7 years to get the project to start to finish. Now, of course, it depends on the size of the project, but if you see from start to finish, it includes land acquisition, zoning, planning approval, building permits, then sales cycle, financing, and after all this happens, construction can begin. Now, if you see on a graph over here, so since the start of the pandemic, that is 2020 Q1, Canadian residential construction price index have risen 51%. That is well outpacing consumer price index, that is CPI, which is just at 13%. Now, if you also understand the key building materials that is used in the construction of the condo, that is steel and concrete, both of those were high, roughly about 55% and 53% respectively. Now, if you see a construction cost indicator over here from 2020 to 2023, and this is not only in Canada, it's based on all over the world. Toronto comes at number 2, that is an increase of 40.5% just after Prague. And if you want to consider more on a granular level for Toronto, the construction expenses rose by 10% in Toronto and 8% in the major cities across Canada from 2017 to 2018. So that is in just 1 year, 10% increase in the construction cost. Now, all these numbers are based on Statistic Canada Building Construction Pricing Index. So I'm not making any numbers. It is all the data that is publicly available out there. So by 2021, the building cost had increased by 34% in major cities compared to 2017. Now, when you see this is only the cost, and when builders add up their margin, this 34% could leads to anywhere between 40 to 45%. And due to all this factor, the construction cost from 2017 to today in Toronto doubled up, that is roughly at 107% in just a short period of time. Meanwhile, a shortage of workers in construction industry also led to increase in the labor. Wages in this particular sector grew to 9.4% in 2022, whereas other sector grew to just 4.3%. Now let's talk about the two projects that is went under receivership. The very first one is the one that is based in Toronto. It is very iconic location located at Yonge and Bloor. And the other project is it in Kitchener, which is called as Elevate Condos. Now let's talk about the one first. So the land was purchased back in 2014 for $300 million, and the original plan was to complete this building is in 2022. And the location of this building is at Bloor at Yonge, which is a very iconic location, and the exact address would be 1 Bloor West. And yeah, the original plan to build this building was an 85-story with 416 units, symbolizing Toronto area code. And as of right now, 40-story is already completed. Initial budget for this building was $1.4 billion in 2019, but is already surpassed to $2 billion by 2022 due to delays and financial complications. Now, just to give you an idea about the sales status, approximately 80% of the units are sold. So out of 416 condos, 346 condos were already sold, and the remaining 7 unsold condos at the higher floor, which is like multi-million dollar condos in that particular building. The second project we have is the Elevate Condos that is in Kitchener. It's a mixture of 4 buildings. One building is completed roughly about 80%, and the rest 3 is not even started yet. The location of this condos is on Weber Street in Kitchener. Across all 4 towers, the original plan was to do 502 units, which 177 in one building and 325 across the other 3 towers. Now, this developer also faced some financial issues. Now, back in October of 2023, the project owed 64 million to its creditor, lending to its receivership process. And back in 2022, multiple liens were also registered on this project due to the construction delays and not able to pay to the construction people. And in March of 2023, the developer fails to make interest payment to CMLS financials and defaulted on municipal taxes as well. Now, based on the recent news, its receivership happened and the new developer is coming into the place called 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗘. Now, let's talk about if you are someone who has already bought a pre-construction in this kind of building which is going through receivership, then what options do you have? The very first thing will be happen that you will be notified by your builder or a developer or a receiver that what is happening along the line. So you will be notified through email or mail. So keep an eye on that. The very first thing happen is like no change in your contract whatsoever. So the new receivership will take place and the new developer will come into the place, build the units, and it is like instead of the very first developer, it will be changed to the next developer and no changes will happen in your contract. The second thing could happen is like to cancel all the agreements. The new developer come into the place and cancel all the agreements what you existing already have. In this case, let's say if you have bought a pre-construction condo in 2022 and in 2024 still it's not finished, then you will lose 4 years. You may be able to recover your deposits up to $100,000. So check with your real estate agent, check with your lawyer how this process will happen. The second thing could happen is like they cancel your existing agreement and sell the unit at a market rate, and the new developer might come back to you with an increased market rate. So at that time, you have an option to pay the difference or just get your deposit back. And here are the couple of things that you can do your due diligence to save yourself to not be in this position. The very first thing you need to do when you are investing in a pre-construction project is to investigate about the builders. This could be through online portals, through your realtor. So make sure you work with someone who know about the builder as well. Check out how many projects they have finished so far, what kind of caliber they do have. Have they done this kind of projects in which you are planning to invest or you are planning to reside for yourself? Check out when the land acquisition would happen. Just to give you an idea, there's a very pretty famous builder over here in Waterloo Region called 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗓𝗦. Most of the land they were purchased were back in like 2010 to 2015. So if they are launching a new project, the land acquisition already happened back at the time where the prices were not that much. So you can say it's a pretty safe bet to invest in those kind of projects rather than someone who have just purchased a land and at a really high price and they might not be able to facilitate. Now the second thing is the pricing. Make sure your realtor runs your number properly and give you a good pricing data, like what is happening around the region, what are the other pre-construction are selling for, and if that particular pre-construction is at a higher price, why you need to pay that premium for that. So make sure you know all these numbers before just putting your money into it. The third one is the location. Now, real estate definitely relies on location, but we have seen like at many times, like location might not serve you well if everything else is going bad. Like we have seen so many condos like near Square One are not able to sold at the price what the builders or the homeowners are looking for. And the last one you can do is like make sure you work with a professional so they can also provide you support even after the deal is secured. Now, if you are considering to make a purchase in today's market, make sure you know how to protect yourself. Thank you for watching. And if you find any value out of this, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.